This isn't a campaign. This isn't an RNC. I'm not out on the political campaign. I didn't get none of that 1.5.
Does Nelly come back to St. Louis and visit?
Come on, man. He always in St. Louis, but only at the casino. That's where he lose all his money at. And then he go down there on the dub and get his coat.
DL Hughley just dropped a straight-up bomb. He claimed Nelly owes Donald Trump $1 million. This ain't no campaign headline or clickbait rumor. He said it loud and clear. Fans froze like, what? The same man who told the world to ride with me is allegedly riding on a debt, and not to a bank or the IRS, but to Trump himself. The internet lost its mind. People didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or just call straight cap. Because if what DL's saying is true, then Nelly's not just dealing with money issues, he's staring straight at public humiliation. But if it's false, then DL just fired one of the boldest and most savage shots in gossip history. Either way, this drama is wild, and you know we gotta dig into it.
You gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck one of you Uncle Tom for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it first? I was the one that performs for himself.
It all kicked off when DL Hughley went live on his show, venting about fake celebrity friendships, industry hypocrisy, and how fame can humble even the loudest voices. Out of nowhere, he dropped Nelly's name like a grenade. He said, these rappers love to act like they're bosses, but half of them owe somebody. I know for a fact one of them owes Trump $1 million. Boom! Silence hit the room like a mic drop. The internet exploded instantly. Within minutes, clips flooded TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube with the headline, DL Hughley exposes Nelly's secret debt to Trump.
Nelly, congratulations for that 1.5 million you got for that shit.
The fans went crazy trying to figure out if this was real tea or just a wild bluff. But one thing's for sure, this story just turned the culture upside down. Nelly broke. Nelly owes $1 million. Nelly caught in a money scandal. That's all you could see flying across social media. Once folks started digging up old receipts, tax problems, label drama, lawsuits, it started looking like maybe, just maybe, DL wasn't making this up after all. And the internet started asking, how you think Ashanti feels about this mess now? But before we decide if this story's true or just wild gossip, we gotta talk about why it hit so hard. Because Nelly isn't just another rapper, he's Nelly, a certified legend from the 2000s. Diamond plaques, chart-topping hits, endless radio spins. Hot in Harry, Country Grammar, Dilemma, those songs defined an era. For years, Nelly was the face of smooth success. Rich, famous, clean cut, no gang ties, no underground beefs. He was the crossover superstar who made the Midwest look major. So when fans heard the rumor that this same man allegedly owes Donald Trump $1 million, it felt like hearing that Michael Jordan was renting sneakers. It just didn't sound real, it didn't sound possible, but that's exactly why the internet went into full meltdown, because when DL Hughley talks, people don't scroll past.
That's not what I'm saying at all. That's why I'm not telling you who to vote for. But what I'm saying is that he's the president of the United States. He's not the candidate for the United States. He's the president.
They stop and listen. DL isn't some random blogger chasing clicks. He's a comedy legend, a TV vet, a man who's been in Hollywood long enough to know how the game works. So when he said Nelly owes Trump, it didn't sound like a diss, it sounded like a statement. And now everyone's wondering the same thing. Why Trump? Why Nelly? What's the connection here? Because this story is looking a whole lot deeper than just money. See, what most people don't realize is that Nelly's actually crossed paths with Trump before. Not in politics, but behind the scenes, way back in the early 2000s. That was when Trump was out here turning his name into a global brand, getting involved with celebs, charity galas, sponsorships, and even luxury real estate projects backed by famous faces. And guess who was allegedly mixed up in one of those ventures? Yup, Nelly. Word on the street is that he got tied up in a high-end project that went completely left once Trump's company pulled out. After that, the whispers started flying. Unpaid fees, shady settlements, and missing investments that nobody wanted to talk about publicly. Nothing was ever confirmed, but industry insiders have been hinting for years that Nelly's camp took a serious hit from a business deal that had Trump's fingerprints all over it.
Come back to St. Louis and visit?
Come on, man. He always in St. Louis, but only at the casino. That's where he lose all his money at. And then he go down there on the dub and get his right? And he go over there on Shreve and get his perks. And then he go down there and get his exit. He be at all the dope spots just getting this shit. Well, not so but he always get it on credit. Like he still don't get no money for that. Like everything he get off his love, off because he Nelly. That's what I don't know he up yet. That's what I want. But he need to give me my 50 million. That's what I'm on. You saw he get caught with the exit, so you know I ain't cap. You saw that. Yeah, he go in St. Louis, get his little and go there and lose all his money to the casino. Right? That's my 50 million at. My 50 million down in that casino. Stop playing on me. Stop playing with me. Down, baby. Stop playing.
So Nelly spends all his money. Spent all his money. How are you gonna get your money from him if he's broke?
You know what? I want the Masters game. You don't get it. It ain't about the money. I want the Masters. I want what's mine. See, he ain't gonna be able to pay me. His card gonna decline, and when his card declines, the Masters is mine. Stop playing with me. I want the house. I want everything. I want Ashanti, gang. Ashanti look good on me. Stop playing with me. How you think Ashanti his son?
Fast forward to 2025, and now DL Hughley is bringing that old wound back up, and he didn't sugarcoat a thing. He flat out claimed it wasn't just a bad investment, it was a debt. DL said that boy owed money to Trump and he still ain't paid it. That's why you don't see him talking politics no more. Oof, that line hit like a jab to the ribs, especially considering the timing. Because truth be told, folks were already whispering about Nelly's finances. Remember that tax mess a few years back when fans had to stream Hot and Hairy nonstop to help him clear up back taxes? That moment turned into a whole internet movement. Fans literally saved his bag through Spotify plays. Since then, there have been more rumors. Label debts, lawsuits, failed investments, the list goes on. And while Nelly's been keeping the vibe cool, smiling in interviews, posting couple pics with Ashanti, and rocking nostalgia tours like nothing's wrong, that money question has never really disappeared. So when DL dropped $1 million and Donald Trump in the same sentence, the internet felt that sting instantly. It was like touching an open nerve. And once again, the gossip machine spun into overdrive. Once DL dropped that bomb, the internet turned into a full-blown investigation team overnight. Fans started digging up old clips, business filings, and charity event photos, anything that could connect Nelly to Trump's world. They found pictures of Nelly inside Trump Tower, smiling at some long-forgotten event. Then came the receipts, records of a private performance Nelly did at a Trump event back in the early 2000s. Some even claimed there was talk of an endorsement check that never cleared. Now, none of that actually confirmed DL's $1 million claim. But man, it sure added smoke to the fire. People started asking real questions. Why was Nelly even doing business with Trump?
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck one of you.
And why is DL bringing it up now? Is this personal payback or something political? Because one thing about DL Hughley, he's never been shy about where he stands. DL's been one of the loudest anti-Trump voices in comedy for years. He's called Trump everything from a racist to a con artist to a straight-up fraud. So if DL discovered that a rapper he once respected had financial ties to the same man he's been blasting for years, you know he was gonna air it out loud and clear. But here's where it got even deeper. DL didn't just stop at calling out the debt, he made it personal. He said, "These dudes talk about the struggle, the hood, the people, but when the bills hit, they run straight to Trump Tower. Don't preach to me about the streets when you're borrowing from a man who don't even like you." That line, brutal, and it hit Nelly's image like a wrecking ball, because Nelly's always been seen as that clean-cut, laid-back Midwest success story, the rapper who stayed out of mess and made hit after hit without controversy. Now, all of a sudden, his reputation's being questioned. And this time, it's not about music, it's about money and loyalty. Now, DL Hughley's painting Nelly as a sellout, a man who owes a racist millionaire and keeps quiet about it. And the internet is split right down the middle. Half the fans are backing Nelly, saying DL's out of line, chasing clout, and trying to stir drama for views. The other half, they're saying DL's just doing what he's always done, speaking the hard truths nobody else will say out loud. Meanwhile, Nelly himself has stayed quiet. At least for now. But people close to him have already jumped in to shut the rumors down, calling DL's story false and inflammatory. They're saying he's spreading gossip with zero receipts, just smoke and no proof. But here's the real problem. In today's digital world, once a story hits the timeline, a denial almost doesn't matter anymore. The damage is already done. People don't believe what's true. They believe what's dramatic. And Nelly owes Trump $1 million is about as dramatic as it gets. But if there's even a grain of truth to this story, it raises a way bigger question. What does this say about the music industry itself? Let's be honest, a lot of artists go broke in silence. They don't tweet about the months when the money's gone or when the label cuts funding. You'll never see a caption that says, "My tour flopped," or "I'm behind on taxes." Instead, it's Bentleys, bottles, and backstage photos. All flex, no struggle. What fans don't see are the maxed out credit cards, the loans from management, or the checks that bounce behind the scenes. The same promoters who post selfies with artists are often the ones who never even pay up. So if DL's claim hits even slightly close to the truth, it's not just about Nelly. It's about a whole industry built on image over income. The truth no one wants to admit is ugly. The business managers who vanish with tax money. The flashy 5-year deals that look amazing on paper but pay out pennies in real life. And whether people love or hate him, DL Hughley might have just cracked the whole facade wide open because his message wasn't just about Nelly. It was about the entire system built on smoke, filters, and fake flexing. He called out everybody. The rappers, the comedians, the influencers, even the so-called moguls, all playing the same game, selling success while secretly living on survival. DL didn't hold back. He said, you think these rappers rich? You think these comedians own them mansions? They leasing everything. One bad deal and they crying over taxes. They living on borrowed money and borrowed time. That line slapped the whole culture across the face because deep down, people know it's the truth. Behind all the glitz, the cars, the jewelry, the private jets, the rented penthouses, most artists are barely keeping the illusion alive. They're not swimming in money, they're drowning in debt. Most of these stars aren't rich, they're leveraged, living off advances, tour loans, label credit, and merch fronts just to stay relevant. You see them flashing $100,000 chains on Instagram, but you don't see the fine print in their contracts saying they owe the label 5 albums before touching any real profit. You see the Rolls Royce, but not the monthly payment bigger than a mortgage. The harsh reality? Most of these artists aren't millionaires. They're middle-class people trapped in million-dollar lifestyles they can't afford without the machine propping them up. And when that machine finally pulls the plug, it's done. The lights go out, the flex ends, and the success they sold to the world collapses overnight. That's what DL Hughley was really saying when he dropped Nelly's name. This wasn't just about one rapper, it was about a whole pattern. A cycle the industry runs over and over, building stars up to look untouchable, then sitting back to watch them crumble the moment the money dries up. Because in entertainment, when the checks slow down, nobody admits it. They fake it harder. They pile on more appearances, brand deals, and random features just to keep the illusion alive, but behind closed doors, it's not hustle, it's panic. That's why DL's words hit so hard, because everyone in the business knows at least one person who's drowning in silence. A rapper who can't afford to pay their team, a comedian doing $500 gigs after once selling out arenas, a singer who lost everything after one bad album. DL just said what everybody else whispers when the cameras are off. Some fans think DL's not even really coming for Nelly. They say he's using him as a proxy to take another swing at Trump. One tweet summed it up perfectly. DL's not mad at Nelly. He's mad Nelly ever touched Trump's money. And honestly, that might be true. DL's whole career has been about accountability, calling out hypocrisy, no matter who it is or how powerful they are. But if you listen deeper, there might be another emotion mixed in. Jealousy, not over fame or money, but legacy. Because while DL's always been respected, he's never been loved like Nelly. Nelly had the hits, the crossover fame, the world singing his lyrics. He was the people's champ. DL, on the other hand, was the truth teller, the critic, the one pointing fingers from the sidelines. And now, with one sentence, he's dragged them both into the same messy spotlight. DL Hughley's never had the music, the hits, or the cultural pull that Nelly did, so maybe calling him out gives DL that extra dose of spotlight he's been missing. Whatever his reason, the result's the same. Now everybody's talking. The memes came flying in. Hot in debt, must be the money he owes, and country grammar tax edition. Fans were ruthless and the jokes didn't stop, but that's how the internet works, right? The second a story drops, it stops being news. It becomes content. And that's what stings the most, because whether this story's true or not, it's already reshaped how people see Nelly. Once someone labels you broke, that word sticks like glue. You could be worth $10 million tomorrow, but people won't remember the truth. They'll remember the headline. But let's keep it real. Nelly's not broke. He's still out here performing at sold-out shows, running his businesses, pushing alcohol brands, fitness lines, and making moves behind the scenes. The man's still got money coming in, but that doesn't mean everything's perfect, because every star, no matter how rich, has debts, contracts, and favors owed. The only difference is most keep their struggles quiet. DL just dragged it all into the spotlight. And that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about a dollar sign or a debt. It's about pride. It's about how celebrities wear success like armor while hiding the cracks underneath. It's about how fame can make you look rich, even when you're barely holding it together behind the curtain. And now the whole culture's tuned in, watching every move. Will Nelly clap back? Will Trump break his silence? Will DL double down with more receipts? You already know how this game plays out. Once one truth slips out, 10 more are right behind it, waiting to blow everything open. And now the whispers are getting louder. Other names are starting to surface. Other debts might get exposed, because that's how this industry moves. It runs on rumors, and once one voice breaks the silence, everyone starts talking. DL might have just kicked off something way bigger than he ever planned, but at the core of it all, this story isn't just about Nelly, it's about image versus reality. DL Hughley peeled back the curtain on what most people refuse to see. Fame doesn't mean freedom. Money can disappear faster than the lights at a canceled show. The same people smiling for cameras, dripping in designer, could be drowning in debt behind closed doors. And maybe, just maybe, that's why Nelly's keeping quiet. Because sometimes silence isn't guilt, it's self-preservation. Maybe he knows the game too well, that once you start explaining yourself, the internet twists it into another headline. So he's staying calm while the world debates whether he's broke or just being smart. So what do you think? Did DL really expose the truth, or is he just stirring the pot for clicks and controversy? Is Nelly really owing Trump a cool million, or is this just another internet illusion dressed up as fact? Whatever the truth is, one thing's for sure, this story's far from over. Not when money, pride, and politics are tangled in the mix. Because in hip-hop and Hollywood, the beefs fade, but the receipts never die. If you're loving these deep dives into the wildest stories shaking up the culture, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Public Secrets. This is where buzz meets drama, where the truth ain't always clean, but it's always loud. See you on the next one.